Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV, the Voix d'eau edition. This is episode 8 of How to Buy a Boat in France. Now, in the last episode, linked here, Sarah gave you a tour of the boat. In this episode, as promised, I'm going to talk about everything it cost us to buy that boat. What was the price? What did we negotiate it down to? What did it cost to paint the hull? What is the moorage? Everything we paid for in 2022 for this boat. Okay, let's get into the numbers. Okay, I know I'm committing a little bit of a faux pas here by telling you the numbers. Sometimes people think that you're not supposed to talk about how much stuff costs or how much people earn. You know, the old adage is if you have to ask, you can't afford it. That's stupid. I don't really think it should be that way. Let's have a little bit of transparency here. So, in a transparent moment in my life, I'm going to commit to the faux pas of telling you exactly what we spent on our boat because I think it's interesting. And once you know how much things cost, maybe you think to yourself, yeah, I could probably do that with my life. Maybe that would be fun. Maybe that's something you want to get into. Okay, first stop on our journey is the cost of the boat. Now, the previous owner bought the boat from Kuhnle Werft in Germany in late, very, very late 2016. It was December. And he paid 121,848.74 euros. Okay, that was in 2017 effectively. Then in 2021, in the fall of 2021, he decides, I'm done with this thing. I don't really want it. I want to cash out. I'm going to retire. So he took it down to Strasbourg and he listed it for 119,000 euros. So he just basically wants his money out. Okay, good enough. So I saw the listing and I thought 119,000 euros, that's not a bad price. It's got 3 cabins, 3 heads, and I'm going to buy this with 3 couples. My friends and I are going to buy this boat together and we're going to use it to cruise around as our little mobile vacation cabin in France. So 119,000 euros. How's that sound to everybody? And we all looked around and thought, well, you know, that sounds pretty good. The boat looks pretty good, but I think we should offer 108. So we did. I don't know how we came up with 108. It's not exactly 10% less or thereabouts. Maybe it is. Anyway, 108,000 euros is what we offered, and it was accepted. And when you make that offer, you kick off a whole host of events. The first event is paying a deposit. You need to pay a 10% deposit on the boat. So 108,000 euros needs a 10,800 euro deposit. Convert that into dollars. I'll go back and forth between euros and dollars here quite often, and I'll give you the exchange rates when they're pertinent. Convert that 10,008 into dollars, and it's $11,975.80. Now, you pay that, and then a whole bunch of other things happen, and then you pay for the boat at the end. But I'm going to give you the end price right now. When we paid the balance of the boat, it was $104,149.80 for a total of $116,125.60. An effective exchange rate of 107.5. When the euro goes up in value, I pay more, and when the euro goes down in value, I pay less. So I want a stronger dollar and a weaker euro because my money's dollars, but I have to pay in euros. And yeah, so I'm looking at the exchange rates all the time. Okay, but I didn't pay that 116 to begin with. The first thing I did was get on an airplane with my friend Rick, who also owns the boat, and we went to go see it because we were talking to the broker, and he said, look, if you're ready to commit to this, once we haul it out and you get the survey, you're pretty much on the hook for most of this or all of the boat. So you can't show up at the end and then decide you don't like it and then back out of the deal. So we said, okay, sure. We jumped on a plane and we went to France and we looked at the boat. That travel costs us $2,262.11. Fine. Then we hired a surveyor. Now, the Relaxed Companion, a Kuhnle Werft, is common, as is a lot of Dutch or German-made boats. They're made out of steel, and steel rusts, and wood rots, and fiberglass blisters. So a survey is a very important thing to get. We hired a French surveyor. He was not necessarily local. He lived about maybe 150 kilometers away, so he had to travel. But he had a little device that he could scan the hull and look at the thickness of the metal. That gave us a surety that if the metal had rusted at all or there were any holes, he was going to find them. And there were none. So the survey is very, very useful. For a steel boat, electrolysis is the thing that you're worried about. And if you want to see what you can get by not hiring a survey and not looking for electrolysis, you can watch this nice Austrian couple work on their big Dutch boat that is suffering from a lot of electrolysis. I didn't want that to happen, so I hired a surveyor. The surveyor cost us 2,160 euros or $2,483. Now, when Rick and I were looking at the boat, we found that some of the paint above the waterline was starting to fail. There's a rub rail that goes all the way around the boat, and where the hull is and where that rub rail is a little spot where water can collect. Water had been dripping down, collecting, and then freeze-thawing right there, and it had cracked out. And the only way to really repair this is to sand everything down, refair it with essentially Bondo or auto, repair mastic, and then repaint it. And if I hadn't said, I didn't buy this boat to work on boats in France, I bought it so that I could boat around in France. So I hired this out. When the hull was going to be repainted from the bottom because it would need a new anti-fouling, I said, look, can you please also paint the blue stripe? And they were like, well, if we have time, if it doesn't rain, if we can get the scaffolding. So I paid a little bit of a premium for that. But that hull painting was $9,239.70. So that was our big upgrade for 2022. But you kind of needed to do it, and I kind of couldn't do it. So after that, we also paid $383 in various tools, supplies, and maintenance. We paid $943.56 in a set of tools, a cordless drill. We paid $2,222.46 in household goods. I paid, let's see, I guess that's it. No, that's not it. There are a few other things. Insurance and mortgage. Well, insurance can be a little bit tricky because normally, like in the United States, we have brokers or you can deal directly with insurance agencies. But I don't live in France and my French isn't that good. So I need to communicate with someone via email so that I can Google Translate my emails into proper French and vice versa. So here's what I did. I contacted the broker who was selling the boat and I said, what should I do about insurance? He said, join the ANPEI, the Association Nationale Planteurs Eau Intérieure. So there you go. I did. I joined them. They're the National Association of Inland Waterway Boaters, and they have an agreement with Cap Marine Insurance. And I emailed Fanny and I said, will you give me insurance? Here's what I'm doing. Here's where the boat is. Here's how much I paid. Here's where I live. And she said, sure. The insurance was $995.15. Awesome. Great. And in my previous experience, insurers said to me, you must submit a recent survey. So I said to Fanny, do you want my recent survey? She said, nah. I said, okay, well, I've got one. And she said, oh, well, if you want, you can submit that survey and we'll use the valuation of whatever the surveyor said your boat was worth, if they give a valuation, which mine did. And he said it was worth $115. So I said, ooh, will that change my insurance quote? And she said, no. In fact, not only will it keep your quote the same, and we'll use a higher valuation, we'll be locked into that higher valuation for 5 years. We won't be able to depreciate your boat at all. I'm like, what? Sure, okay, fine. I mean, that's not how insurance works in America. I'm pretty much sure that insurance here works on making sure that you pay them and they don't pay you. Anyway, great. We got insurance. It covers all sorts of stuff, not just the boat. That's what that costs. Now, the last big thing was moorage. Now, the moorage was 2,975 euros or $3,205, which comes out to about $267 a month. So that's a year, so $3,205 a year to keep our boat in Strasbourg. Well, with that, there is also electric charged separately. That's $233.62. Okay, now time for the grand total. Now, before I get to the total, there is one thing I forgot to talk about. That's the banking fees, $302.72. Most of that is in wire fees to send the money to France. One thing that you might notice is absent is a registration fee. It cost us nothing to register our boat in France. When I was considering buying a boat in Holland, I had found that you need to have the boat added to the Dutch cadastre. Information on how to do that here in this video. But the cadastre fees are around 2,000 euros. In France, it cost us nothing. The broker provided the registration, he submitted the forms, got them all back from us, and voila, we were done. Also, there's no VAT on purchasing a boat. The original purchaser of the boat pays VAT. Every subsequent sale, there's no VAT added to that. So that didn't cost us anything. If it had been a new boat, we would have had to pay the VAT, which is a cool 20%, which is quite a lot of money. So our total here, what we paid for the boat in 2022 was $138,278.38. $138,278.38. All right, next year I will do another video just like this, but of course it'll be just for 2023's costs because we're doing some upgrades to the boat, and in a couple weeks I'm going to go to France and start putting some of those things on board, and then we're going to cruise around for a few weeks of springtime cruising in Alsace. I've got a new Insta360 camera, and I hope to make cool videos of sights and sounds of the French canals. If that's something you might be interested in, or if you found this video helpful, or you're into wine, or you're into traveling in France, or you just like it, please consider subscribing and giving me a thumbs up. Okay, until next time, I say à tout à l'heure and cheers. In the Netherlands, it would have been over 2,000 euros to register the boat there. But in France, equalité, liberté, fraternité, no pay.